results mastery. By this time, you've already had a flavor of the business acumen piece and touched on some of the ROI pieces of evaluation. So we're going to take a step back here and look at evaluation as a whole, not just a return on investment piece, more of a return on expectation piece. So when we evaluate, we're looking to evaluate the impact of an intervention. So which is an intentional action taken to create change within the system. So often what we do is we want to create something like a new training program, or there's a policy creation, or there's an education initiative, or there's strategic planning that takes place. And there's different things that are going to affect our system and affect the organization, but we sometimes don't take the time to measure it or think about how we might do that and the different levels of which we can dive into asking ourselves, was it worth our time? And are we better off? And what's next? So an intervention, an evaluation can be actually proactive or reactive. So when we instill something, it could be proactive, that we're really looking to be creative, change something, we want to be ahead of the curve, there's a lot of changes happening and we just want to be on the forefront of that. Or we could be doing something because it's reactive. Things have shifted in a way, and now we're scrambling, or now there might be a problem that we're looking to solve, and so we're going to put something in there as a reaction to that change. So key reasons it's advantageous to evaluate an initiative. First, it creates buy-in or support. So if I put an initiative in place, and I'm looking for support, I'm looking for people to come on board, I can put some measurements in place that can actually prove that it's working. It also justifies or defends a budget, especially if we're looking to allocate quite a few resources, monetary resources to it. Identifies successful programs as well, because sometimes we put programs together and we never really look to see was it a success for us, or do we have some positive outcomes for it, but we can't really tie that back to anything in particular and ask the why. It's also a basis for learning and improvement, and it ensures that the intervention is in alignment with the overall organizational goals. So sometimes we forget about the big picture stuff. We might be doing something within our departments or small base, and we can also do a measurement to see if we're in alignment. And why it works or does not work may be really unclear. Sometimes we walk away and go, wow, that was really fantastic. It was great. There was some great learning. But why? So this will allow us to really pinpoint some of the things that are more particular. Now we need to look at a needs assessment too before we continue when we're looking at putting an evaluation together, or even asking ourselves what kind of evaluation we would like to do. What we're trying to do is fill in this gap between what do we need here. If we have our current conditions, what do those look like? And if we're looking to fulfill something, we have a vision, our desired conditions, our desired outcomes here, what needs to happen in order to get from one place to the next? So it may be to improve or correct a deficiency. There might be something that's not working for us. It may be a simple work need, like we need support, or we need resources, or we need buy-in. So we're going to do an evaluation in order to get these things. Training needs, maybe there's a gap in knowledge, that people need to know something that they didn't, that will help them be more effective in their work. And sometimes it's a performance need. So what do we want somebody to do in that case? Are we looking to change a behavior? And then there's the business need, which is a larger results need. And I know that Mark went through with you all quite a bit in the business acumen ROI stage, and this includes some of that as well. So additional questions just to consider. What were or are some of the sources of information that are needed? So what is it that you would like to collect? When we say what were and are, because sometimes we have to think of some of the information that we have prior to the initiative that we're looking to incorporate, so that we can compare those from what was to what is. And what is the reason for the assessment? Why do you want to do this assessment? Who will see the data gathered? Is it just you, so you know that it went well? Is it the board members? Is it the CFO, the CEO? Who's looking, why are you doing this, and who's gonna see it? And who will be part of the evaluation? So this is essential too, because if you have a large group of stakeholders to consider in this evaluation, then that might mean that your evaluation might be a little bit more rigorous. And what will hinder or help you to get the data? Sometimes it's time, money, resources. Sometimes stakeholders are in different areas. It could be a location thing. So we have to consider what we're actually able to realistically accomplish here. And what format will you use to collect the data? We'll dive in this a lot further, whether it's a survey or a questionnaire or a focus group or observations. So what medium will we use to collect the information? So lastly here, there's 5 levels of evaluation. And Donald Kirkpatrick came up with the first 4 levels back in 1959. And they primarily had to do with education in training at that time. But this can be applied and has been developed over time. The level 5 evaluation was put together by Jack and Patricia Phillips, looking at the return on investment. This is the business acumen piece that we're not going to talk about because Mark had already gone through this with you. This is the money. Money is always tied to a level 5 evaluation. These pieces here dive into a little bit different. We're looking at level 1 is the simplest, and then we go to the most complex. And then the next videos coming up, we will be diving into these further, and Eric will be introducing level 1 and level 2 evaluation, and I'll come back and introduce level 3 and level 4 evaluations.